do. So when I'm gone, I have to specifically create a list of the company chiefs, whether it's a chief or an assistant chief to cover me. So very grateful that we have a good group of leadership corps within our fire officers in the county, and they do step up. They are very knowledgeable, experienced, and trained. They range from 5 years of service all the way up to almost 40 years of service. So I got a great group that backs me up. However, as you know, they are volunteers. They have other full-time jobs. So when you go on to your second part of your statement on what kind of applicants we're going to get, part of that's the price. I think that's going to be a little dependent. Phil and I have had the discussion. I think most of the company chiefs make more than I do. So having them come in and making a lot less. One actually offered me if I could find him $1 million check to buy out his business, he'd come and do it. But that's not going to happen. So I'm not sure. A training aspect is very important. We do work in a dangerous environment, and going out there and helping the volunteers, being able to go out and train, take the load off of them, provide them quality and adequate training so that way they're better trained and safer is important as well. And I think the willingness to go out and train, to teach, and to work with our volunteers is an important part of it, and they're going to have a big leadership role in that. So,
and I think over the long term, we're hoping to have somebody that can maintain our equipment, that can operate our equipment, which is something that we didn't have from the position that we're replacing. That sounds like something that is a multi-tiered employee that will be highly helpful in all kinds of aspects, and the fact that it's financially not a change to our budget seems like a no-brainer to me.
Thank you, Dustin. Not Darren, per our conversation earlier, and appreciate your grant writing and everything you're doing to work on that, to keep that, and replacing Megan with someone else that can help you out in-house. I think it's also a good deal. Thanks for your time earlier.
I do know that the grant is going to be interesting. It's the government. You're dealing with paperwork. They work on a different fiscal year, and the amount of reporting and the paperwork and everything that you have to submit to them, we'll just have to make sure that the auditors are using and expending the funds as per the state requirement.
Any further discussion, commissioners? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0, Donna. Thank you, Darren. We'll move on to fiscal year 2020 Homeland Security.
So speaking of grants, I am on the board for the Northwest Kansas Homeland Security Council, and we had put together projects over the last couple months, and we voted on them, I believe, the first week or two of June, and we've kind of looked at within our district. We have district fire chiefs meetings, looking at the gaps and services that we don't have, that we can't afford, or ideas that would be nice to have in the event of a wildland fire. And Commissioner Hazelhorse was actually at a community meeting that we had after a large fire last year, and one of the biggest problems that we had that we really had no easy solution to was we had a whole bunch of farmers, businesses, people bringing out water, but we had no way to get it off their truck quick enough, or if we could dump it into a portable tank, we didn't have enough set up to be able to hold the amount of water that was out there. Kind of a good problem. You wish you had that problem all the time. This year we have plenty of creeks out there full of water, but it was so muddy that you couldn't actually get close to them to be able to draft and suck water out of it. So one of the projects we put forth through the Homeland Security Council was just something I termed as a water supply trailer. 16-foot enclosed trailer to have 6 collapsible water tanks in it with portable pumps that either pump off the land, or you can float them on top of the water to suck water out and use to fill up the portable tanks. And they can all be connected together, all separate, and or in one place or three places. So that way we have a constant water supply that somebody could dump out water into if necessary to fill some of those gaps we identified before. A common misunderstanding, I guess, when you look at it on a fire scene, time is of the essence. And if you have a farmer bringing out 1,000 gallons of water, but they have a 10-gallon a minute pump, that's going to take you 100 minutes to pump that water off of there. That's almost 2 hours of time that you're not fighting the fire when you can draft it hundreds of gallons a minute and refill your tank within 2 or 3 minutes. So this will be a significant portion, and it is a significant addition to our fleet that we have. It will be a regional asset, so that way if Russell, Rooks, Rush counties, if they ever need it, they can come pick it up. If they have a fire, they can take it to theirs. The council actually liked it well enough, they asked me to create 2 trailers. So we're going to build one for Ellis County as well as one out probably in Logan County, and then next year do 2 more. The other part of that Homeland Security projects is to purchase a fit test machine, which firefighters can use to for your SCBAs to make sure your respirators and SCBA masks properly are fit tested to your face. Together, that's basically a $55,000 benefit that we're getting to Ellis County. I'll just have to do a lot of paperwork, ordering, and planning to get it all here, but we'll have that asset here in Ellis County, hopefully later this year, first of next year. So I just wanted to let the commission know that we are we won't be purchasing it. It's all through a separate purchasing agent, but that's some resources that we're getting here within Ellis County that we'll be able to have and maintain in the future. Any questions?
Deal. Keep up the good work there. That's perfect.
Darren, will both of those be regional assets? Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Anything, Butch?
Nope, nothing.
Get Aaron?
I do have one more thing, if you don't mind. Several months ago, we talked about, and the commission approved funding from the funds that we received from the excess sales tax to improve some of the buildings within Ellis County, and your commission approved the fitness room in the basement of that emergency services building. Actually, as of this morning at about 10 o'clock, they got this key cylinder changed, but the room is now 100% complete, and I submitted all the final invoices into Donna's office to be paid. So with that, I'd just like to pass around some pictures of what we've got down there, so that way the commission is aware of it, as well as if the commission would like to contact me, I would more than welcome meet you anytime to come down there and show you what we got. Pictures really don't do it justice.
Maybe you saying we needed to come down and work out or something is what you suggested. Thank you, Darren.
Anything else for me?
Nothing for you. We'll move on to road maintenance and Louis Kuhn addition. County Administrator Philip Smith Haynes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this item is a follow-up from a May meeting at which a local realtor appeared before the commission and discussed road maintenance in a commercial subdivision southeast of the city of Hayes. At that time, the commission chair agreed to look into the matter further with county councilor, and last Monday, Commissioner Hazelhorse, county councilor, public works director, and I met with the stakeholders in the subdivision. What came out of that was an agreement for the county to go ahead and formally accept road maintenance. We believe that in order to do that, there will be additional sand needed, approximately $2,000 worth. And Mr. Louis Kuhn has agreed to make a donation to Ellis County in the amount of $1,000 to cover half of that expense. I don't feel like I need to go through the whole rest of the history. I know the commissioners are aware, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have no questions, Phil, but thank you for your time last week. Butch, any questions?
No, I have none. I understand it.
Dustin?
No, I think this was a good response. We got to get those businesses taken care of. So.
This time I'd ask for a motion.
I move that the commission accept the donation of $1,000 from Mr. Louis Kuhn for road maintenance and agree to accept maintenance responsibility for the road as shown on the plat for the L. Kuhn 4th edition as recorded on January 12, 2011.
I second that.
Thank you both. Donna, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, lease purchase of property for solid waste. County Administrator Philip Smith Haynes.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. So So this item is purchase of property adjacent to the county's current landfill that would be used for a horizontal expansion of the construction and demolition debris landfill. And we feel that this is a good investment because it extends the life of the construction and demolition landfill without requiring $1 million+ worth of fill dirt, which is what we would be looking at in order to do a vertical expansion as we are currently permitted. Again, I'd be happy to answer questions from commissioners.
Butch, questions?
Is all parties happy with this?
Yes, the Carleens have signed it, and so I believe that we are ready to go.
Okay.
Dustin, any questions? None?
No questions for me?
Thank you. I have none either. Thanks again, Phil, for all your work on this also. This time I'll ask for a motion.
I move that the commission enter into a lease purchase agreement with the Revocable Inter Vivos Trust of John A. Carleen and the Revocable Inter Vivos Trust of Susan M. Carleen for the purchase of approximately 180 acres of land adjacent to the Ellis County landfill. The total purchase price is $380,000 to be paid from the Solid Waste Amortization Fund.
Thank you, Dustin. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Donna, we have a motion and a second. Commissioners, further discussion?
No.
None? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. We'll move on to County Administrator Report. Philip Smith-Haynes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a number of items to discuss with the Commission this evening. To start with, we have received a public hearing notice from our own Environmental Division. There is a public hearing on a conditional use permit in the city of Shinshin that will be happening at the July 24th Ellis County Planning Commission meeting. The reason that the Board of County Commissioners received this notice is because we are the owners of property in Shinshin, namely our fire station down there. So we are within the notification, and let the commissioners know that if you wish to appear at the public hearing on the July 24th in front of the Planning Commission and speak about the conditional use permit, we have received that. Speaking of the Planning Commission, the second item that I wanted to cover with the commissioners this evening is that we have a vacancy, as you will remember. So far, we have received just one application. If there are other interested individuals, we would encourage them to get their applications in to the Environmental Division as soon as possible. If we do not receive additional applications, we will bring an item to your commission on July 15th to appoint the person who has applied. The third item is that we need to make appointments to the EMS Regional Council, and I have passed around a letter and thank the commissioners for signing it to agree to appoint Carrie McHugh and Jason Kennedy to the Region 1 Emergency Medical Services Council. Next, I wanted to just update the commission briefly on some projects up at the courthouse. We did have a pre-bid meeting on the exterior stucco project to repair that water damage, and the bid opening will be occurring next Tuesday on that project. We have received shop drawings on the elevator project this past Friday, so that is moving forward. And we have a new project. We have discovered an issue with the bathroom stall sizes for ADA compliance at the courthouse. So I have contacted our architect on that and reviewed some preliminary plans with him today. Just to forewarn you, I will be bringing that fix before the commission as soon as I get final numbers. I've been assured it's a 5-digit number, not a 6-digit number, but we need to move forward with that. Next, I thought I would just follow up briefly on the work plan from the commission retreat and suggest that maybe over the fall, late summer, early fall time frame, maybe we could schedule a couple of work sessions for the commission. Thinking possibly a work session to further discuss the sales tax might be in order to try and help the commission get to an agreement on that. And then also possibly a work session on recruitment and pay plan and contracting out issues as two possible follow-ups from that commission retreat. So unless anybody thinks that's a really bad idea, I'll be contacting the three of you for potential dates on those. Okay. And then finally, I was just going to see if there were any other county staff or outside agencies that wanted to address anything regarding budget. As the commission knows, we had extended the offer for both this meeting and next Monday's meeting if there was anybody else who wanted to address budget. So,
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if you ask if anybody wants to do that.
Did the stall sizes change from when it was remodeled last time?
No, but there the stall sizes are actually appropriate, but there was a piece of heating equipment that got installed inside the stalls, which means you can't actually turn in the radius that you're legally required to have. So there's a fix for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone want to address the commission on, sorry, Carrie. Anyone want to address the commission on further budget issues from what we talked about when we did reduce some of the budgets on staff? Anyone want to come up and say anything? Seeing none, we will move on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, County Commission reports, Butch.
No, I don't have a report.
County Commission report, Dustin.
So last week I attended Leadership Kansas in Kansas City. It was very eventful. I got to see the World War I Memorial. Bill Self gave a talk to us, which I kind of bleed purple, but it was pretty neat to have Coach Self come and talk to us about leadership. We went to the Microsoft offices in Overland Park and talked a little bit about economic development with Port Kansas City. We also talked with one of the leading cybersecurity experts in the country, and I was able to ask some county-specific questions that I will come to Mike with, and have already started that conversation with him. Some neat things is talking about cybersecurity, and I got quite a bit from that. Most of the rest of my class was about to fall asleep because we had just ate lunch, and it's kind of not very exciting to talk about cybersecurity unless you're a county commissioner and you're worried about such a thing. The next day we got to meet with the executives of Sporting KC, the Kansas City Motor Speedway, and the representative from Wyandotte County who carried the Star Bond on the House floor for the Legends Shopping Center. So we got to ask questions about Star Bonds. We got to also talk about the unique structure of Wyandotte County. It's a city-county entity that is combined. There's not a county government and a city government, which is a unique way of doing things. But the neat thing that I got from that is, and something that we haven't done in Ellis County, or more specifically Hayes, because Hayes would be the type of community that could look at a Star Bond. I really started trying to put some ideas together in the future of what we maybe could go after for a Star Bond district. The main takeaway I got from that is the complete changeover of Wyandotte County when they got that shopping district and they got the motor speedway. It just changed. They were it was not a good county to live in. There's still some pretty rough parts of Wyandotte County, but the amount of tax revenue they brought in on that, we were actually told that the Legends area is the #1 attraction in the state of Kansas for people outside of the state. So some really good discussions on that kind of stuff that really opened up my mind. And also, as we talk about a sales tax in the future, a unique discussion about retail, me being a retailer, and the Amazon fulfillment center that just went in Kansas City, and how that's going to change, and how we're going to figure out legally how to be fair to retail businesses as we are with online businesses. The federal government obviously wanted to incentivize online shopping to start, but now they do fine. So the idea is let's make it fair now, and so that was some good one. And then lastly, we toured the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College in Fort Leavenworth, and this is a college that I think most people don't even know exists in Kansas. They think of Leavenworth and they think of the big prison, and they don't realize that in Kansas we're training some of the top level war fighters in the whole world. We train people from other countries. They actually have a hall of about 400 people that were all gentlemen that were trained at Fort Leavenworth, that all either became a leader of their country or a leader of their armed services. And I ran into he is a, let me get it right, Sergeant Major, a guy named Travis, I want to say this right, Travis Votah, and he was a 1990 graduate of Hayes High School. So I ran into him right away, and then he was on a panel discussion, and he's about to his 30th class reunion, so I'm going to try and get him back to Hayes next year, and he loves Hayes. He traveled all over, obviously, in the Army, and served in Operation Iraqi Freedom on 2 tours. So it was really a great thing I went to. My biggest takeaway from it was this changeover of Kansas City from the economic depression they were looking at for quite a while industry changed, and to now how excited they are about having so many jobs available and nobody to fill them, and there was discussion of them not having enough office space, and so hopefully that takeaway I can get with that is if we can create that same feeling in Ellis County, and I feel like we somewhat have it already. It's pretty tough to hire in Ellis County, so that's great for people that are hardworking and want to have a job. I think they can find it out here. The last thing I wanted to say is I did have a discussion with Alex Richard, who is the state director for Senator Jerry Moran, about the Northwest Business Corridor. He had no idea the number of jobs that work on that road stretch, and so he said he would pass that information on to Jerry, and he was involved with the City of Hayes' build grant, and thought he would do whatever arm turning he could for me to get this right in the forefront, because I hope I impressed upon him how much we feel like we need this in Ellis County and for all of Northwest Kansas. That's all I have.
Thank you, Dustin.
One last thing.
Go ahead.
I had a little bit of a discussion with Carrie about what the EMS does with a lot of. So I'm a jeweler, and we have all these horror stories of what happens with people with their rings if they are injured on their hand. They're wearing their rings, and a lot of the metals that we have can't be cut through like typical gold or platinum would have been that most people wear. So we have things like tungsten and titanium that are pretty tough to get off of somebody's hand if they have it. And so I've began figuring out the cost of some of this new equipment that gets rings off of people's fingers in these tough situations. It's for the one type, it's called a ring cracker, and I'm trying to figure out the cost, but I think what's going to happen is I'm going to have my company do a donation to our ambulances to make sure they have the proper equipment to do that. And as long as the cost isn't so much that the investors aren't happy about me doing that. But it's something that I had thought about, and I asked them, and they said that might be a need because they didn't know the possibility of all these new metals. So that's it.
Thanks, Dustin. Had a Workforce One conference call and have another one July 11th again, and met with a few of the stakeholders in the Northwest Corridor project, visiting with them. Visited with our county administrator today also about some issues, and that's my life. Oh, sorry, Carrie. Yes.
When you ask about speaking to the commission about the budget,
Uh-huh.
I'm not prepared to do that tonight. I'd like to have an opportunity to speak with Phil and then bring it back to you next week.
That'll be fine.
Perfect.
Thank you. All right, Commissioners, we will adjourn at 6:06. Thank you very much.